So, for the past few episodes, we've started the gaming session talking about indie games. Because my YouTube algorithm just sends me a bunch of trailers for cool indie games. And a lot of dope indie games have been released recently, but there's also been a lot of bad gaming news. Last week especially.
Yeah.
So, we're going to start off with the bad and then talk about the good indie stuff. Xbox and Bethesda have shut down four studios, maybe five, I think. But three of them Bethesda studios and two of them just Xbox studios in general. Xbox announced internally it is closing four Bethesda studios 3 years after acquiring the company: Arkane Austin, Tango Gameworks, Alfred Dog, and Roundhouse. Jeff Keighley on Twitter tweeted this, and that's how I first heard about it. Microsoft has made the decision to close several of its internal studios, including Redfall developer Arkane Austin and Hi-Fi Rush developer Tango Gameworks, as part of a larger effort to quote unquote reprioritize high impact titles and invest more deeply in Bethesda's portfolio of blockbuster games, as said by Xbox Game Studios head Matt Booty, which is a crazy name.
Fitting name. Ugh.
Oh, for sure. He also said that they are doubling down on Bethesda franchises that are best positioned for success, and he says we need smaller games so that we need smaller games that give us prestige and awards. What the hell is this man talking about? First and
No, like
foremost,
maybe I right? Come on.
smaller games are just good for the industry. As said by Ralph P from Skill Up, you need smaller games because it's good for the lifeblood of the industry. You need smaller games because they serve as the petri dish for ideas and innovation. You need smaller games because it lets younger developers cut their teeth on lower risk projects. You need smaller games because if every available resource is channeled into massive AAA live service fattening slop, this industry will Ouroboros itself to death. That is from the words of Ralph P from Skill Up. And he is absolutely right. Indie games have been taking the world by storm, especially me. I feel like since the pandemic and since after I graduated high school, I started working, making money, and just living my life. And I started playing more games, and I started discovering more indie games, and started having fun that way. And indie games are great. They're so good. And the crazy part is, the way I started getting into indie games is through Xbox on Game Pass, and now they're starting to get rid of them all. All of the good small games that they've been supporting for years to come are now going to start to go away. And that is where I first started getting into these games. But luckily, I'm going to be getting a PC or a gaming laptop soon to play a bunch of indie games on Steam and Epic. So I'm like, couldn't be more upset that I
Right.
have a Game Pass subscription for the next year until October. And I'm gonna
Right.
finish up Persona 3 and probably play a little bit more Pal World, and then maybe, depending on if they make any changes, never subscribe again. Because come on.
Yeah.
Secondly, if you want smaller prestige games, why did they get rid of the studios known for making them? The small game that came out recently, Hi-Fi Rush, got a BAFTA for animation and won the Game Award for audio design. That's what you're talking about, dude. That's
Right.
the prestige. That's the awards. They did it
That's
for
like
you,
beyond prestige at this point.
and then it also made a lot of money.
A lot of money with no advertisements, no nothing,
It's
no
crazy
promotion.
because
They just released it.
literally no advertisement. They just announced it and then released it, and then it did good. Personally, the game's not for me. I played a little bit of it. I didn't like it, but a lot of people liked it. A lot of people consider it to be a really good game. It did real well. What is wrong with them? And then you have Arkane Austin, which, thank God, as much as it sucks that it was Arkane Austin, that it was only Arkane Austin and not the entirety of Arkane.
Yeah.
Microsoft forced Arkane Austin to make a game that they did not want to make, and wasn't in their wheelhouse in Redfall, and then laid off the entirety of the team because it didn't do well. And long before the studio was shut down, tons of people left the company because they didn't want to be forced to make games that they had no interest in making. Austin was also working on an update that was slated to release, I believe, next month, that would have added two new characters to the game and made the game playable offline. But it will no longer come out. Meaning that whenever this game shut down servers, Redfall is just dead. This game will cease to exist. Um, yeah, just Arkane Austin also worked on the very first Dishonored game alongside Arcade Leon. Um,
Right.
and they made Prey, which I haven't gotten around to playing, but I'll play one of these days. And they made Redfall, and it's like, okay, they made a bad game that they didn't want to make in the first place, and it was only bad because you forced them to make a game they didn't want to make.
Right.
And supposedly there were rumors that came out recently that they were actually like in the early stages of starting a new game that might have been Dishonored 3, and I am so mad. You've heard me talk about how much I love Dishonored.
Love Dishonored. Yeah.
They were just about to make a new one finally, and then they closed the studio that was working on it. At least Leon's still there, and they're only there for as long as they're working on Blade, if we're being real. Once Blade's
Yeah.
out, even if Blade does really well, there's no guarantee they're staying
It's
around.
like
There's no guarantee that they're staying around, even if Blade is good. What were you gonna say?
it's just tragic because it's like I will never understand Xbox's like fascination with chewing cyanide tablets. You guys want to compete in the industry, but then continually shoot yourselves in the foot with idiotic decisions like this. I'll never understand it, and I feel like if they would not have broken out with Halo, Xbox would not exist right now.
No, of course not. And
And that's my hot take. Yeah.
if someone used the great analogy of Microsoft treating these studios like lemons, squeezing them dry and throwing them away. But with the case of Arcane Austin, they were squeezing a lemon and expecting grape juice to come out. Like, come on, they just don't make those types of games. Uh, yeah, like the person I quoted comes from a video titled the Activisioning of Xbox from Skill Up's YouTube channel, and it's real good. I would definitely suggest watching that video just to learn about the whole situation. And something that's also mentioned in that video is that one of the heads over at Xbox said that they didn't have like the capacity to manage all these studios. Then why the hell did you buy them? Why did you buy them if you knew you wouldn't be able to support them? You bought them so that you could suck up their IPs and then throw the studios away, and that's trash. And who knows? And despite the fact that they have all these good IPs now, they're probably not going to do anything with them because they got rid of the people who could make good games with them.
Right.
But I'll end with a quote from Dinga Bagaba. Why did I say his name so fast? uh, Dinga Bakaba from Arcane Leon. Who are, like I said, only safe as long as they're working on Blade. He said, "Don't throw us into gold fever gambits. Don't use us as straw men for miscalculations / blind spots. Don't make our work environments Darwinist jungles. You say we make you proud when we make a good game. Make us proud when times are tough. We know you can. We've seen it before." Indies are the future of gaming. And I've never
They are.
wanted consoles to cease to exist and PC and Nintendo to be the only ways to play games more than right now. Like if
Yeah.
PlayStation and Xbox became purely software companies, we've talked about it a couple episodes ago about how like if only Xbox went away, it'd be bad because then PlayStation would become a monopoly. But if they both went
Right.
away, like Nintendo's already a monopoly when it comes to handheld gaming. So it's like
Yeah.
they have no competition because they're not competing with PlayStation and Xbox because they make completely different types of games for a completely different audience. So they're not really even competing for the same audience. So instead,
Right.
it's Xbox and PlayStation. And Xbox goes away, PlayStation becomes a monopoly, and PlayStation have shown recently that they are more than willing to do stupid stuff that for the sake of making money. Even
Yeah.
though the stupid thing they did recently with Helldivers would have lost the money, and they very quickly backpedaled on it.
Yeah.
But if Xbox ever goes away, they'll drive those prices up. That the next PlayStation gonna be like $800 or something. Like, granted, if consoles go away, we're gonna have people gonna buy PCs, and those are also expensive. But
Yeah.
um, like I said before, we'll get more pre-built PCs. We'll start releasing, and more people have PCs and have the ability to play whatever games they want in any configuration that they want, and they'll have more flexibility in how their quote unquote console functions, which will be interesting. But yeah, I think indies. I think when the game industry I don't want to say when because I want to have some hope. The
Yeah.
the main like the AAA studios and all of them implode. indies will save games as a whole, and it'll be glorious when that happens.
Yeah.
When indies save the world, not necessarily things implode.
Yeah, but I get where you're getting from.